It's a small...
We can't afford that!
Welcome to Duality Gamecast, sponsored by Gladiator Games.
Today's episode features Small World.
Welcome to Duality Gamecast. I'm William.
I'm Matt.
And today we're reviewing Smallworld by Days of Wonder.
Smallworld is an area control game pitting unique fantasy creatures against each other on a board customized for the number of players. Today we've got a 3-player game going. I am first player because according to the rules, the person with the most pointy ears goes first. So I have to select my race. I am going to pick these Ratmen. However, because they're not at the bottom of the row, I'm going to have to pay one of my hard-earned victory points to get them. So I put one on the race that comes before them, and I get my Ratmen. The Ratmen have a unique ability. They start with 8 men, which is more than most races, and each race has a skill. Theirs is wealthy, so these are wealthy Ratmen. That gives them 4 more Ratmen and 7 more victory points or coins. So I'm going to collect my massive 12 Ratmen and my additional $7 because they're wealthy Ratmen, and then we'll let the next player select. So the available races now slides down, and we get a new one. So we're going to add trolls, seafaring trolls, to the top of the list. So our next player has the option to select skeletons for no additional cost, and because I skipped them, they're actually going to get a bonus coin, and I think that's what they're going to do. So they're taking 4 skeletons. We slip this down again, and we add Berserk Amazons to our pile. Our third player is cheap. He doesn't want to pay anything, so he's going with Spirit Wizards. So we collect all of our race tokens, and we get ready to battle. The object of Smallworld is to have the most victory points when we hit the end of the turn track. You do that by controlling areas. Start of your turn, you can attack areas with your units, or, like I'm going to do, you can pick up all your units and launch a new invasion from any of the outside border land territories. It takes 2 units to enter an empty space. If there's anything in the space, it's 1 more unit for each item in there, such as a mountain or a unit. So I'm going to come in at the swamp. It takes 2 Ratmen. Then I'm going to attack these wizards in the field. So that's going to be 2 for the space plus 1 for the wizard. 3 Ratmen. He's a dead wizard. Whenever you kill a enemy unit, if it's only 1, that player loses that unit. If it's more than 1, they're getting half of them back to redistribute later and losing the other half. I'm now going to move into this mountain pass. And then I got my eyes on this big group of wizards by the farm. There's 3 wizards there, so that plus a space takes 5 Ratmen. Problem is, I only have 4 Ratmen left. You can try to push your luck and roll this die. It's got 1s, 2s, 3s, and blank spots on it. So I need 1 more power. Let's see what happens. I got a blank. I failed. So my Ratmen are repulsed, and I have to redistribute them amongst my friendly territories, and that basically ends my invasion. Now I'm going to count up the territories I control, which unfortunately is only 3, 1, 2, 3, and collect gold or victory points for that many. So boom, 3 more victory points for me. And then we're going to move on to the next player's turn. So the wizards, distraught by this rat invasion, are going to use a unique mechanic in Smallworld. They're going to send the race into decline. He's sick of his wizards. He wants a new race. So he does that by flipping over his tile to indicate they are no longer active. He reduces their strengths in all their spaces down to 1 wizard, flips them over so we all know they're in decline. And basically, that's the end of his turn. He'll still collect his gold for what they control, but on future turns, they're not doing anything else. Beginning of his next turn, he's going to select a brand new race and just pretend nothing happened with those wizards.
So Smallworld, an area control game for 2 to 5 players. Matt, how does it play?
So Smallworld is a a unique blend of a couple different things. It has a real simple combat system. If you've played Diplomacy, it's a little bit reminiscent of that, where you're really just the number of units is more than the other person's number of units, you win. But it flows a lot faster. You're pushing through territories more like Risk. What makes this game unique and special is your different fantasy races, which you draft essentially, and they're paired with a special skill to make them unique. So there's a lot of different combinations. Every race has their own special ability, and then every skill lends them another special ability. So for instance, in our demo, I was playing the wealthy Ratmen. Ratmen are a little different. Their special ability is there's a million of them. Yeah. But then they're wealthy, so they have a ton of money. Other races or abilities will key off of icons on the board, where you'll get more victory points or gold based on the little crystal symbols or the little mining symbols or the fields or what have you. Some of them will drop down cool little encampments or cave trolls things. And some of them can attack from the water spaces. So there's a lot of unique play there. And it's a relatively fast game. You've got a limited number of turns. You've got a board that's based on the number of players. So the game actually comes with different board sizes, and they're double-sided, so you play with the appropriate one for a number of players. The unique part of this game for me is the whole idea of putting your races in decline. So it's choosing the right time to do that. You've maxed out, you've used that race as much as you can. Picking your time, because you're essentially losing a turn to put them in decline. And then you choose a brand new race and you start it all over again. And some games you might only do that once. Some games you might do that like 3 times. It just kind of depends on the race and skill combination you get and the flow of the game. I don't know, what do you think?
I think it's neat because the area control aspect of it, a lot of area control games, you're trying to actually control an area. And in this game, really what you're caring about is how much area you control at the end of your turn, not necessarily holding it. And it's impossible to hold territory in this game. So when you're playing the game, the number of units on the board, it's just continuously flowing, everything's continuously moving. And the big secret trick in this is knowing when to go into decline. Because if you go into decline when you're on top, you're doing great and you're going to score a lot of points in the game because I don't know if we were clear or not, you score points for the races in decline for the rest of the game as long as those units are on the board. So if you take over a huge area and no one's messing with it, you go in decline, and then you come with a new race and you're battling people and everyone's engaging you on the other side of the map, your 5 areas you have over here that you're dying sick little races using is scoring you extra points every turn. And doing that and keeping people distracted from your secret strength is kind of a big part of this game. The mix-up of the skills and the races is neat because since there's that bidding mechanic, there's going to be times where you get ones that aren't, one of the ones that I think no one in our group likes. No one really likes the dwarfs, I think, in our group. So if they're near the front, near the end of the game, they might have 7 coins on them or something. And you can have a swing of the game by picking a sub-optimum pick, but because of how many coins and extra victory points you have on it, if you have wealthy dwarves, everyone's going to skip over that at the beginning, and someone's going to pick it and get 15 gold, and it could change the whole side of the game, and not even because of a board presence, just because of a race pick. So I think that's neat that there's so much variance, really. And you're right, the combat is so simple, because basically it's how many things are on the board, I need 2 plus that number to take it over. There is the roll of the dice, and you want to use this sparingly, I feel, because once again, it's about controlling at the end of your turn. So that risk, sometimes it pays off great, but if you ever have to roll a 3, there's only 1 3 on this dice. If you have to roll 3 to take over an area, you might be better spent going a different direction, but sometimes it might be worth it, and especially if you could take it from somebody, take out one of the units, it's really cool.
Yeah, and I like, we have a few games in our collection now where the victory points are essentially also your currency.
Mm-hmm.
I really dig that. That makes that choice to spend points so unique and interesting to me. You're spending the thing you need to win the game, but you have to decide, is it the appropriate investment for the long-term strategy? I really like that a lot.
it's an investment, but sometimes it's also kind of gives you that gambling feel too. You might say, like for instance, with the Ratmen, oh, the Ratmen are way up there on top. Everyone else picks up. Is it worth it? Like you early on in the game, you're not going to know exactly how everyone else is going to play, but you might be willing to gamble to just get a bunch of stuff on the board and hope you can like run over the mass, and take over and hope to hold that lead or use some special ability. Because since the different races and skills key off of different areas on the board, sometimes if two people kind of have divergent strategies, or like if one wants to be in the woods and one wants to be in the mountains, you might be able to kind of peacefully coexist with somebody. And in a multiplayer game, that's kind of neat where you can kind of, not really alliance, but you kind of like, hey, I won't mess with you, you won't mess with me, and you just kind of like nod at each other. And then it falls on everybody else to try to fight you two kind of as a team. And it's just cool how like stuff like that can pop up in this game, and it doesn't take secret handshake deals on the table or anything like that. It's not forced. It just happens because the game's so quick, so fluid.
One last thing I wanted to talk about, because Smallworld has been around for a while, and I think it's safe to say it's kind of entered that realm of one of the more classic board games.
I think so.
Has a fair number of expansions. The big expansion is the Underworld expansion. Totally different feel.
Yes,
I think. So it adds races, it adds different boards, but it adds
relics
or
something like that,
and it makes the game more about holding onto things. So it gives the game a very different feel. I don't think it's necessarily a better way to play the game myself, but it does make a unique flip to the game, kind of the way we've seen in some other like Settlers of Catan. When you go into like, was it Cities and Knights,
and it's
very different game. So you see that with that expansion. There are some smaller expansions that just add races and skills too.
Okay, so let's talk about components and art. Matt, what do you think?
All right, so if ever there was a good example of art meeting theme, I think this is it. The whole game is kind of thematically a riff on, Disney's Smallworld, right? So they've got kind of a dark humor to it. So we have all these fantasy races beating the crap out of each other. So they have, I don't want to say cartoony, but definitely lighthearted artwork for all the races. But it's good. It's all painting quality. The board art is very clean and gets the point across. Iconography, you don't really need much iconography for this game, but what they have on the board is real clear. It is one of those kind of Euro-ishy games where you've got a lot of icons on your race and skill tiles sometimes that are basically trying to cheat using a specific language. So some of those are real easy to, okay, wealthy gives you +7 gold. That's obvious. But then you get to ones like the skeletons, where you've got some X'd out markers and a +1 next to a skeleton. And until you've played the game a few times, you're going to be referring to the book probably. There's a player aid handout for all the players that comes with this game.
Which is needed, I think, because it basically covers all, from the base game, it covers all the races and all the skills on one sheet. And you need that because even after you played it a while, sometimes interactions are a little confusing, or you're like, wait, does that work in the forest area the same way I think it does?
Right. The component quality, I think, really shines. You got nice, heavy cardboard for your race and skill markers and their appropriate tokens, and little mountains and camps and what have you that you lay on the ground. The coins are nice cardboard. This game has a lot of pieces. Every race has, a stack of markers, and they were real smart. They mathed out the max basically every race could possibly have when they're paired with a skill. So they mathed it out, and then they made this awesome tray to hold them in with the cover. Really smart, really nice. This is an older game now, and it was done right, like high quality in my opinion. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, out the gate, I feel like a lot of games, they release something, and then there's the 2.0 version where they fix a lot of storage problems and stuff like that. And yeah, out the gate, this thing has great quality components in terms of the chits, the art, the storage tray. Everything has just enough little like cute style to it. you know, like you were saying before, the art, it kind of has a cartoony feel to it. Like there's a dragon, and the dragon has a guy on the background, like holding like a guy dangling on a stick in front of him, like a carrot for a horse. Has this great lighthearted humor considering the fact that you're basically just obliterating each other the whole time. But I mean, it's like a Euro war game almost. There's interaction, but there's no, except for the random chance. There's not a lot of dice rolling and randomness to it. You really can kind of figure out your turn, plan ahead, know what you're going to do. You don't usually get surprised by anything, so it really is kind of you always deciding that big thing when you go into decline, stuff like that. And the art in this is just bright and cheerful, while at the same time being kind of morbid. I don't know. It gives you that same thing that like
dark humor.
Yeah, and it gives you that kind of feeling of like the Smallworld, right? Yeah, where you're right through and you're like, this is a little creepy, but it's also adorable, and that's exactly what this game does.
They also revealed at the Essen Spiel Game Fair in Germany, which is like one of the biggest in the world, a new deluxe board with
I saw that.
3D pieces. All the guys' markers will be on wood. There's going to be plastic 3D mountains and camps and castles. The dragon that you referenced is an actual miniature. It looks amazing. I don't know if we'll be able to shill out the money for it, but I think it just shows that Days of Wonder is committed to the quality in their product, and it shows through really a lot in Smallworld.
Absolutely.
Smallworld. All right, I have been playing this game for quite a few years now, and I still love it. I enjoy this game. The theme combined with the easy gameplay, yet competitiveness and replayability, it just hits every spot for me. If there wasn't already one in our game group, I would buy it. So I'm telling you, must buy.
All right, so Smallworld. For me, I believe it's a must buy. I think it hits all the right points. It's smooth, it's clean, it's quick, it's fun. And for small little investments, for little micro expansions, you can add extra variety to the game, which already has a ton of variety in it. So for me, must buy. Hey guys, thanks for watching this Battle Royale episode. If you'd like to subscribe, click on me. And thanks to all these people for helping us out.
They lose the special skill they have, or ability. Except for this one's a spirit of... Damn it. Ah! That was a bad example.